What is the knowledge of good and evil? If it's just knowing what right and wrong is, why would that upset God so much? I mean, why is it so bad if Adam and Eve know what right and wrong is? Isn't that what he's trying to teach all of us? So clearly that's not what he meant. So to find out what it meant, we have to go back to the story of the Exodus. When Israel was wandering in the wilderness, they annoyed God too many times, and finally God said, look, all of you who are over 20 years old are going to die in the wilderness. Only your children will go into the promised land. Why that's important for us is God said that at that point in time, those who were under 20 did not, quote, know good from evil. Now, that's interesting because I was 16 once, and I remember knowing what right and wrong was. I didn't always care that much, but I knew what right and wrong was. So, what does this actually mean? Well, according to the law of Moses, 20 years old was when you became a legal adult. Below that point, you were no longer responsible for your decisions. Your parents were, so if you sinned, your sins fell on them. If they corrected you, you had to do what they said. So, what we're talking about here is not actually knowing good and evil, but choosing for yourself what good and evil was, having the right and responsibility to choose right and wrong for yourself. So what Adam and Eve actually did in modern terms is they emancipated themselves. They, though not yet of full age, declared themselves qualified and competent to be free of God's judgment, free to make their own decisions, their own choices. And we all see how catastrophically that worked for them. Because when children go out into the world unprepared, not old enough, they tend to screw it up because life is hard. God knew that, and so he was going to protect them, provide for them until the time they were ready to actually be adults and do it for themselves. But they couldn't wait. And the devil tempted them to go out and do it early when they weren't ready because he knew that he probably would fail at it and he wanted to prove a point to God. That's a whole other story. The point is, for now, that emancipation is what the knowledge of good and evil was. The ability to decide for yourself what your destiny holds. Luckily for us, we can reverse that choice. We can go back into the Garden of Eden, so to speak, and we can let God make decisions for us like he was willing to do for Adam and Eve in the first place because we have learned that life is indeed hard out here and it is hard to be a grown-up and we'd be much better off if God made our decisions for us. So basically, we're being readopted into God's house instead of being emancipated from God's house, which is what Adam and Eve did for all of us.